afternoon, everyone. This is Andy. I am the prop chef here at Two Perspective Studios. If you are catching this on a replay, you can hashtag replay. All these videos will be available on my YouTube channel to watch forever and ever. Today is going to be a segment on using the new DIY taco making kit. You'll be able to make a realistic taco replica with all of the items in the kit. You can find the kit on my Etsy shop at Two Perspective Studio in the Etsy store. And it's under the DIY Kits tab in the Etsy store. It's also available on our website, thepropchef.com. Hey Jenna, how are you? So today is truly a Taco Tuesday, so we're going to concentrate on making some taco replicas using the DIY taco kit. This kit's also going to be available in my live sale tomorrow morning with the live sales in Crafting Down South. So lots of ways to get the kit. The kit consists of many different things, including some Model Magic clay that you'll use to make your fake tacos. It will come with a taco holder. Now these come in a variety of colors. You don't get to choose your color, it's just whatever color pops up. They're all sort of fiesta colors like yellow, orange, blue, green, purple, that kind of thing. So you will get the clay, the holder, you will get a template that is made from parchment paper. So you're going to say, why do you have a template made of parchment paper? Because it will stick to the top of your clay. So when you're going to cut out your taco pieces to make your taco shells out of the clay, you'll be able to use this little template and it'll stick right down onto your clay and you'll be able to cut it out easily. Also is some silicone glue. I know you've heard me talk about silicone glue a lot. You will get a bottle of silicone glue. You will get a couple of colors of, this is air dry foam clay. You'll get a red and a green to make your tomatoes and jalapenos. You'll get a small bag of the crust mix to make some fake meat crumble or sausage crumble. I do have a no nut variety of this. This does contain crushed walnut shell. Today I'm going to be using the no nut mix. This is almost looks the same, it just doesn't have the crushed walnut shells in it. And there's a disclaimer in my Etsy shop and on my website that if you don't want the nut shells, send me a message and you will get this one instead. It's just different, it doesn't contain the nuts. You'll also get a, excuse me, a fake lettuce leaf that you'll be able to do some shredded lettuce for the tops of your tacos, and some of our cheese crumble. This is our mixed variety cheese crumble. Excuse me. That you'll be able to put on the top of the tacos. So like I said, this kit is available now in our Etsy shop and on our website. You'll get all of this stuff. So if you like the video today and you're interested in purchasing the kit, you'll be able to do that. But this is the video on how it all works. So we'll get this out of the way. And like I said, you will get this template that'll help you cut out your tacos. So I'm going to start with some conditioned. Good morning, everybody. I think I'm missing people here. I'm sorry. I have my not so good glasses on right at the moment. If I'm missing you, I apologize. I see Margarita, Stephanie, Sue, and Peggy. I hope everybody's doing well today. So with the 8-ounce bag of Model Magic, you'll be able to make a lot of tacos and other things too if you want to. It's a good way to get a little bit familiar with Model Magic. It's an easy to use air dry clay. It's different than foam clay, different than earthen clay, which all three can be air dry clays, but it's just a little bit different. Model Magic has some attributes that I really like for fake food, replica making. Some kind of tickle in my throat, it's driving me crazy. So I use Model Magic a lot when I'm doing my fake foods. Conditioning it takes a little bit. You need to make sure that it is very warm, very pliable, and you have a stretch with no snap, more like a taffy kind of stretch. That's when you know you've done it enough and you can be assured that you won't get the cracking when it's drying. I'm not saying that you don't get cracking sometimes, because it depends on clay. No matter what clay you use, clay can crack. It's all a little bit different. It depends on your humidity levels, your air conditioning, how hot or cold it is in your house. I mean, there's a lot of different factors. But once you get sort of accustomed to using a certain kind of clay, you'll be able to know whether the conditions are right for what you're trying to do. Also, keeping your thicknesses down a little bit when it comes to Model Magic is a little bit better for avoiding the cracks in the clay. So I have my template, and I actually have some made already. This is what we're going to do. Before you paint these, you want to make sure that you make them a day in advance and let them dry completely. So I have these ready to paint, but I'm going to show you what I did to make them. So the holder that you get in your kit, here's the green one. I took some little pieces of parchment paper and put them in each of the cavities. Now this holder is kind of cool, because if you just want a 2 taco, let me do this. If you just want to display 2 tacos, you can put your holder like this, and it just has the 2 openings. If you want 3 tacos, this is really the way that it's supposed to be, but you can use it either way, and you can do 1, 2, 3. I took some parchment paper and made some scores in it, and I just tucked it down in each one of these, because I want to use this as a drying device for my tacos, because you don't want to roll them out and lay them down and then have them cave in and stick to themselves, and it's hard to get them to stand up and dry. So I'm utilizing what I have, which is my holder, and I'm going to put them in that. So I'm going to take the Model Magic. I shaped it into sort of I try and get the creases out before I start rolling. So I shape it into that little, almost like a little mini bread loaf. I do that before I start rolling, just so that I don't have to work so hard getting the creases out of the clay. It's just one of those little techniques. So you're going to have to roll it out a couple of times, probably, to get all 3 of your tacos made. And you want to try to envision the thickness of a taco shell. This may be a little bit thicker than a regular corn taco shell, but it's not too far off. So you want to roll it out to where you have it about that thickness. And I'm not sure exactly what that thickness is, how many millimeters or whatever. I'd say it's not too many, maybe 3 or 4 in a regular taco shell. But you want to kind of get it close because you want it to look pretty realistic. So I have an X-Acto knife. Now I'm going to take the template that comes with the kit and I'm going to lay it down, and I'll be able to get 2 out of what I rolled right here. Let's see if I can just stretch this out just a little bit. So this will stick down to my clay, and I'll just be able to take my X-Acto knife and using the template, and this is what I do every time I make these tacos. I take my little template and I just go around with my knife. And you can alter the template if you want to make them a little bit bigger or a little bit smaller. It's totally up to you. So there you have, and that's a little bit on the thick side. I may have to roll that a little bit more. And then you can put your template down again. And you do the same thing. Just cut out another taco. And this way, you're sort of assured that all 3 of your tacos will be the same size. That's bigger, better. All right. So let me move these over. Hey Nicole and Jan, how are you? So I'm going to roll this out one more time. And cut out my 3rd taco. I know these are a little bit off camera, but you know what I did, I think. So I'm just going to try and roll this out enough. Now I didn't start with 8 ounces of clay either. This was just the clay that I had in my bag over here. You'll have a whole lot more clay in the full 8-ounce bag than what I showed. I just grabbed some that I had here. I'm just going to trim around this a little bit. So now I have all 3 pieces cut out. Now you're going to want a piece of crumpled up foil or a stiff brush. This is like a bottle brush, I guess, for cleaning the bottoms of the cups. Something with some stiff bristles. Because you want to put that taco, like corn taco texture in these things. And you really want to make sure that you pounce on the edges to get them flattened out. You don't want them squared off. You don't want these looking like Ortega tacos. You want them looking like homemade, right? No El Paso tacos here. And once you get them all flattened out like that, you have this nice texture on there, and that's what you want. So with the shape of the template, when you fold this, it looks just like kind Come on, Nicole. Let's keep it G-rated. It looks just like a taco. So you can stick that right in the holder, and it'll dry there. You do the same thing with the other two. Just fold them up and put them right in that parchment paper, right in your holder. Get some texture on this one. And then when you put the texture in the Model Magic clay, it stays, which is one of the things that I really love about it for realistic foods, because foods in general have a lot of texture. If you're using some of the other clays, it's hard to keep the texture in there. Some of it just springs back and some of it will go away when it's drying. It just depends on the kind of clay, but that's one of the beautiful things about Model Magic, is it really keeps its shape. Now these are a little bit bigger than the holder. You can alter the sides of your template if you think they're too big, if they're more unnatural size for the kind of tacos that you eat. You can trim it down a little bit. I like them to be these jumbo sized tacos, and I've had a lot of good feedback from my customers on the size of the tacos. They say that they're more realistic, so this is typically the size that I go with. So I'm going to set these aside for, well, until sometime tomorrow, and then they'll be dry. It takes about 24 hours for Model Magic to kind of do its thing. These have actually been sitting here for a couple of days, and they are very, very dry. After 24 hours, you can still move them a little bit. After 2 or 3 days, these are as stiff as Ortega taco shells. Like, no kidding. So then what you want to do is, I'm going to take them out of your handy dandy holder. Now I see the texture is still, I'm not sure if you can see that very well, but the texture is still in there. And you want to take these out, and we're going to start the paint process, which making the tacos doesn't take a ton of paint color, so it's actually pretty, as far as paint goes, you don't need a whole lot to make tacos. So it's a fairly simple craft. The first thing you need is some yellow, like a sunset kind of yellow. This one is called cadmium yellow medium. It's sort of it's a yellow with a little bit of an orange hue to it. It's perfect for taco, like corn taco, unless you make white corn, and then you'll have to use unbleached titanium if you're doing white corn. If you're doing the regular yellow corn shells, this one is perfect. Which the yellow corn, I don't know, I guess it's sort of a color thing. Hi, Cece. A color thing for me, and some of the things that I list in my Etsy shop. I like there to be sort of, because foods are just full of vibrant colors, so I try and make things a little more vibrant. Now, to this yellow, we need to tone it down just a little bit. I'll take some of this yellow ochre, which is a sort of a yellow and brown mixture, and I add just a little bit of that. And I'm going to combine these paints, which you can't see. Sorry, I keep getting off screen. I'm going to combine these down to where it's like a dull, that might be a little too brown. I might need a little bit more yellow in there. I think I put a little too much in there. You want it yellow, but you want a little bit of that brown mixed in. I'll do a little bit less of that. Yeah, that's better. So then I'm going to grab a flat paintbrush and a paper towel. And I'm going to get my paintbrush wet. I have 2 pots of water over here, one for washing brushes and one for rinsing brushes. It's good to always have rinse water when you are painting things like this, because sometimes you don't get all of it out in the wash water, or the wash water gets very dirty, and then you can always go to the rinse water and clean up your brush. So I'm just going to take this flat brush. You can also use a makeup sponge, like these, the non-porous makeup sponge. It's an easy way to paint if you like doing that a little bit better. Keep your brush, I'm sorry, my voice is cracking because I have a tickle in my throat. Keep your brush fairly wet. You don't want to resaturate your clay too much, but add enough water to where it's not chunking up on there. You just want to do it lightly. And make sure that you paint the inside as well. Even though we're going to fill it, you may still be able to see some of that white, and you definitely don't want that. Now, like I said, if you wanted to make these like a white corn, you can use a color called unbleached titanium, and it's a really good color for white corn tacos. Tortilla. All right. So I'm just going to put that back down and let that paint dry for a minute. And we'll do the other 2. Now, how many of you guys like eat tacos every Tuesday just because it's Taco Tuesday? I gotta know. I know there's people that swear by it. And that would be fine for me, but I guess I never remember to do it. I love tacos. I love any kind of Mexican food, Latin American food, Jamaican food. Heck, I just like food. I guess you couldn't tell, huh? I ate a wonderful bologna sandwich before I came live. I was starving. I'm having a hungry day. The bologna didn't fix it, but it was all I had. Alright, last one. Let me get this painted up. Now, if you want to add the black fleck that's in the tacos, if you really want these to be super realistic, you can either use black pepper and put a little in with the put a little on top of the wet paint, or you can do a splatter effect with a little bit of a black paint. And if you've never done a splatter, it's pretty fun. You just put a small drop of black paint and add a little bit of water to it, and you can take an old toothbrush and mop up some of that paint, and then take your thumb, try it on your parchment surface first, but you just run your thumb over the bristles and it sends off a spatter of black. And you can lightly do that over the outside of your tacos. I usually don't, because when they're in the holders, you don't see it. When I first started making these, I did it all the time. But the taco holder sort of masks most of the outside of the taco shell, so I didn't really feel it was necessary. But I do like the effect, especially if I know these are being used as a removable prop for theater or something like that. I will put the spatter on there. Black pepper works just the same. I don't think I have any over there, or I'd show you that. But I think you get the gist of what I'm saying. What's for dinner? You know I hate that question. I don't know, something big. Alright, so we have our paint done here. Now we're going to set this aside to dry for just a minute. I'll scrape some of this paint off here. So that I don't put my hand in that, I'm going to fold that over. I think I put my hand in something. Alright, I'm going to set these aside to dry, and we're going to make our meat crumble. Now I'm going to use the one with no nuts in it. This is the nut-free mix. I actually have, this is some that I made earlier. This is what it looks like after it's prepared. And it actually does look like taco meat or sausage or ground beef or, you know, any kind of ground meat, ground pork, whatever. This is the one with, this is the one made with the nutshell. This is the one made with the alternative mix. So you can see they're almost identical. A little bit different color, but either one works for this purpose. So I have a bowl. And I have a popsicle stick. And I have some of this. This is the one with no nuts in it. And I'm going to put some in the bowl. You don't need too much just for 3 tacos. So actually what you get in the bag would probably be good enough for 2 sets or 1 set of tacos and something else that you are thinking of. I don't know. I start by putting just a little bit of water in here. And I usually wear a mask when I'm fiddling with this because it is a little dusty sometimes. So be careful with that. I just put a little bit of water in to moisten up the mixture. Now I've showed this several times, so you're probably getting tired of seeing it. I'm going to show you again. The one with the strings in it is the dark crust mix. It does have nutshell in it, but it has another substrate as well. This one doesn't have any nuts in it. This is the alternative to the light crust mix with no nuts. So that was wood glue that I put in here. You can use craft glue, Elmer's glue, clear glue, any kind of glue like that. It does not have to be wood glue. I use wood glue because I sell my products and I need that little extra strength. And I think wood glue is a little bit stronger when you're doing these kinds of things. Now just get that mixed in, and then what you need is a little bit of clear silicone caulk. You can get this at Dollar Tree, Home Depot, Amazon, lots of different places have it. This is the GE brand. Just make sure it is clear silicone, not white. This is window and door caulking. It's just 100% clear silicone. But you can get this just about anywhere. You can get it in a squeeze tube. You don't have to use this big gun. I just do a lot of this, so I use the big gun. You put probably about 1.5 ounces in here to make the crumble. The more silicone you put in, the denser your mixture will be. So if you're trying to make a meatball or a hamburger patty, out of this mixture, you'll want more of the clear silicone. If you're making a crumble, you need a little bit less. So just put it in a little bit at a time and mix it in thoroughly until you get the consistency that you're looking for your particular project. For tacos, you want it to be a crumble. So you don't need as much of the clear silicone. Just enough really to make it crumbly and kind of hold it together. You're gonna really hold it together in these shells with the silicone glue. You'll be drizzling this in there, and that's what's gonna hold the whole taco mixture together. So you just wanna make sure that you've got a neat crumble looking mixture. And if you sort of chop at it with the popsicle stick, you get the better result for the crumble. Because you start to get these large wads that sort of gather together, and you kind of have to chop them up. Just like if you were browning ground beef in the pan, you know, you get those big wads, and you got to take the spatula, and you got to hack at it until it grounds up like you want it to make taco meat. I know that was a weird reference, but it's the best one I have, I guess. So this is looking pretty crumbly. I don't have any dusty stuff down on the bottom. I've got it all crumbled up now, and that is exactly the way we want it. So these are dry. The paint dries fairly quickly on these. So I'm going to put them back in my holder. Now I want to put my filling in the tacos. But before I do that, I'm going to take a little bit of the silicone glue. I had one open here already, so I'm going to try and use some of that up before I open a new one. I'm just going to put a little bit, now this is perfectly clear, I'm just going to drizzle a little bit on the bottom and sort of up on the side of each one of these taco shells. I don't want much, I don't want it running over the edge. I just want a little bit to where when I set this meat down in there, the fake meat, it's just going to give it that little extra assurance that it's all going to stick and stay. That's what you want. Now I'm not going to pile it in just yet. I'm going to put down a first layer and let that silicone glue sort of do its thing. Make sure that I get it to the ends of the tacos. Can you use real pepper on eggs? Can you use the glue stuff for the egg yolk? Yes, you can use real black pepper on any replica creation. It doesn't do anything. Even in your body, it doesn't do anything. Black pepper does not, it's not even digestible. It comes out the same way it goes in. And it's fine for food replicas. Not sure I understand the question about the egg yolk. I usually do egg yolk with painted clay. I'm not sure what kind of egg yolk you're trying to mimic. I'm going to make sure that these are fairly stuffed. And I want to make sure that I'm not making any meat fall down in between. I want to make sure all of that is out. Sometimes that happens and I don't see it, and then I have a piece of meat stuck to the outside of the taco. All right. So there we have the beginnings of 3 decently realistic looking tacos. And like I said, this is the crust mix with no nuts in it. And it looks almost identical to the other one. All right. So now we can use our lettuce leaf and our red and green clay that came with the kit. And then we have the cheese crumble. Now, if anybody likes tacos the way I like them, you want to put some taco sauce, some jalapenos, some tomato chunks. You want to put maybe a little sour cream or queso, anything like that. You can make all of those things, well, you can make the sauces with the silicone glue. A runny egg yolk. Yeah, I usually simulate that with the clay and paint, and then I'll, you can use silicone glue over the top of it to mimic the shine, or you can just use a thick glaze, Deborah. Things get stuck to the outside. Yeah, so you overload your tacos like I do, huh? I tend to make them, and my burritos are the same way. I overload them to the point where I take one bite and they just explode. So I'm going to make a couple of jalapenos with the green clay that comes in the kit. All you have to do, now this is foam clay. It's pre-colored. All you need is like a tiny paintbrush or a needle tool, anything like that. Start with about a pea size of the green clay, roll it into a ball, and press it down to where you have a little disc, and then take the end of a paintbrush and you can make 3 or 4 little indentations in that. And it serves as a nice little jalapeno slice. Now you can make it look even better when we get up to the silicone glue part. I will put a little silicone glue dab in the middle of it to give it that sort of wet, goopy look like you just sliced open a jalapeno pepper. So I'm probably going to do 2 of these for each taco, so I'll do 6 total. That's just the way I do mine. If you like jalapenos more, by all means, load it up. I used to like jalapenos more, but now that I'm older, my stomach does not like them as much. But just by making those little indentations in there, it really looks, it sort of brings it to life, makes it look a little more realistic. You can also take, if you have a green shading tool that you like, either a makeup or a soft pastel. 2, 4, oh, I'm making too many. Okay. If you want to give them a little shading, gives them a little bit more dimension. I'm going to take some little bits of the red clay and I'm going to do them in various shapes. I'll do some sort of long and skinny little chunks. They mimic tomatoes. Again, if you want to shade them, you can shade them with a darker paint color or a little bit of a makeup or a soft pastel. You don't have to. But this is basically, again, I'm going to do about 3 per taco. So I'll do like 9 pieces of this. And they can be semi-different shapes because when you chop tomatoes, they're not all going to look the same. Now you have enough clay in the little bags in the kit and the Model Magic to do this several times over. So if you wanted to, if you're a seller and you wanted to make these for sale, you can probably make 3 or 4 sets of tacos and just display them, you know, sitting on a plate or something like that. So this is a good way to get you familiar if you're a seller. It's a good way to get you familiar with the components on how to do this so that you can going forward, you know, you can do this over and over and over again like I do. I make a lot of tacos. It's a very popular thing. So I take my lettuce leaf that's included in your kit, and you want to just make some strips and then some little pieces so that you can have some chopped lettuce on the top of it. You can get a lot of pieces out of one lettuce leaf, especially if you chop them a little bit smaller than I am. You can make them as big or as small as you want. This is all according to taste. So, for making your taco, and this next part is what's going to hold it all together. Your taco sauce. Yes, it is AAA. You're going to make your taco sauce, and then you'll make something that can resemble either a sour cream or a queso. It can be either or. I'm not sure that it matters in the fake world which one it is. I have 2 small cups here, and I have some of the silicone glue. I'm going to start by making a taco sauce, and I only need enough for the 3 tacos, about 1 or 2 little strips each. So I don't need a ton of the silicone glue. Like I said, the materials in the kit, you'll be able to make a lot of different sets of this, not just one. And this was an open silicone glue I had on my desk, so that's why mine is almost empty. Yours will not be. Let's see. For the taco sauce, I usually use a paint called Crimson. This is the Master's Touch one that comes from Hobby Lobby. Crimson is a little bit darker than a permanent red. That is not my open container. You can use a permanent red. It's totally fine. You don't need a ton of paint in this silicone glue. Just a little bit on the top. This is about 10 cc's of silicone glue in this little medicine cup, and about just a small little ploop of the paint, and you'll get something that resembles a taco sauce. So all I do is go down with the popsicle stick and put this on top of the meat. I try and keep it on the meat and not on the shell. Now this silicone glue is going to sink down through that meat crumble, and it's going to help you seal everything in. It It tends to be a little stringy sometimes. You have to kind of, it's almost like a hot glue, but it's not hot. But it mimics that with the strings. It also does dry pretty quickly, so you have to move along. Don't wait or it will be too stiff to use. Alright. Stringy. So there's our taco sauce on the meat. Now we're going to do the a bunch of open bottles here. Let's see if I can get this one open. Maybe not. That's one thing about these. Once you pour the silicone glue out, getting them back open again is a pain. So I'm going to pour another about 10 cc's, which is about half of this 1 ounce cup. And I'm going to get some, you can use a white or you can use an off-white if you're going for more of a queso look. Go for the off-white. If you're doing just a sour cream, go for the regular white. Just takes a little bit of paint. And we have like a sour cream mixture. And you're going to do the same thing. You're going to go back over this meat with something that looks like a sour cream. And if you don't like sour cream on your tacos, or you don't like that look, and you can put the white down first, you can put the red down first, or if you don't like the look of the white, you can use the silicone glue clear, and you won't, nobody will know that it's there because it will sink down. We're going to use some as soon as we get the vegetables on here. We're going to use some of the clear anyway. So if you don't want a sour creamy look like that, you don't have to have it. But that's what we have now. And like I said, if you want the red on top, that's totally fine. I'm going to take these jalapenos and I'm going to press them into that wet silicone glue so that they stick. I'm going to put our tomatoes in there. And like I said, you can shade your vegetables if you'd rather have it that way. That extra one there. So now it's looking nice and colored on the top. You're going to want to put a little bit of this lettuce and try and get it to where it will stick down in there. Now your meat is still wet, and you can do this with a what the heck do you call it? A little pincher thing. Tweezer. That's the word. You can do this with a tweezer and sort of stick it down in there. I need just a little bit more. I think I had some shredded over here. You can sort of take a tweezer and tuck this lettuce down in there just the way that you want it. And then you can take some of the faux cheese crumble that is also in the kit. Everything that you see here comes from the kit. And you can sprinkle this over the top. Probably used a little too much cheese, but I'm sort of a cheese hound and I like that. So now if you snip the very tip off of this silicone glue bottle, it has this funky, so that you don't lose the cap. I usually can't ever get that on there right. So I'm going to take some of the clear silicone glue and I'm just going to go on the tops of these jalapenos to make them look like, or they're a little goopy around the area like where the seeds would be. And then I'm going to go with a thin stream of this silicone glue all around the top of this whole mixture. You don't have to get it everywhere. It will sink down in there before it dries, and you'll never know it's there. You won't see it, I promise. What you want to do is you want to make sure that everything is set to where it's not going to come out. And these tacos, because you let the shells dry, you'll be able to remove them from the holder and you can use them as props. You know, you can take a picture, people can take pictures of themselves holding the tacos and like taking a bite out of it. Cinco de Mayo props. They're very popular. So like I said, this kit is designed to not only have something that people can have fun with and make fake foods, but it's also designed for the sellers who like to learn the techniques that it takes to make these things and make them look realistic, so that going forward you can make and sell things just like this. So these are pretty darn realistic looking tacos. And like I said, you can take a picture of yourself. You can make whatever you normally make that goes on a taco with the foam clay. If you're a foam clay user and you put different things on your tacos, like pineapple pieces or anything like that, you can mimic all of that with the clay in the toppings. Pretty much all you need to do is make the shells and make the meat and have the silicone glue for the colorant. From there, it's up to you what you put on them. So, like I said, the kit is available now in my Etsy shop and on my website. It will also be for sale tomorrow morning during the live sale. If you have any questions about the kit, you can let me know. Purple clay, like the aubergine magenta kind of clay, makes a great red onion if you put those on your tacos, just saying. Just got to think about that. So, that's how you use the taco kit. And again, everything that you see here, minus the paint, comes in the kit, including the model magic, the holder, everything in the bag, including the silicone glue, the clay, the lettuce, the template, and the full bag of model magic. So this whole kit is available now. And this is the video showing you how to use it. So you can find replays of this forevermore on my YouTube channel. It will be under a kit making playlist on my YouTube. It's also, the kit can be found on my Etsy shop under the DIY kit tab. So, if nobody has any more questions, I believe the lovely Nicole is coming up in about 5 minutes on Nicole's Great Creations, and maybe Marie will even appear in the background today. I'm not sure, but maybe. I don't know what what Nicole is making, but I'm sure it's something fantastic. So if you have any questions about this, you can message me, And if I can help with anything else, just let me know. So happy Taco Tuesday, everybody. Go make some tacos, either real or fake. I'll see everybody tomorrow for the live sale, and then again on Thursday morning for, I believe it's a Christmas segment I'll be doing Thursday morning. So until then, adios, amigos. Bye.